Okay, guys, JDBC, we are going to start JDBC. what is JDBC? Okay, till now we have discussed about core Java, like all the concept, exception handling, collections, okay, and serializations, OOPS concept, all those things that we have discussed. Those are basic things to write off any code. Okay, now with core Java, okay, with core Java, JDBC. For Java, we can develop up the application like standalone application which can run in a single machine. Okay, let's say currently I'm showing my system, right? If any application that is running only in my system, then I can say I'll call it as a standalone application. Okay, so by using core Java, we can develop standalone applications. By using core Java, we can develop standalone applications. Like standalone example is, let's say currently I'm using of notepad plus plus, right? This I'm using in my system. Okay, it is only local in my system, so you people cannot access this notepad plus plus right, or not application. So let's say I'm using of wordpad. This I can access in in my system only. You people cannot access directly from my system, right? Which I have installed, so I'm able to use it. So I can't, whatever the software that I'm installing in my system, that you can't access it. Okay, so that means those applications I can say it as a standalone applications. Okay, now let's say if you want to develop the applications, if you want to develop the applications of like so those we can access, even though I've installed in my system, that you should be accessed in the network level in the web. So if I'm installing in my system, if you are able to access mine, okay, then we can say it is a web applications. Not only you, anyone in the world which can be accessed through web. Okay, through web, then we can say it is a web applications. Okay, then to develop up web applications, examples of web applications is Gmail, Facebook, and Instagram. That all the applications we can say which are accessing through web. Okay, we'll call it as a web applications. We'll call it as a web applications. What is JDBC first? JDBC means Java Database Connectivity. We'll call it as a Java Database Connectivity. So, okay, connectivity, Java database connectivity. Okay, why do we need JDBC? Why do we need JDBC? Now, to interact our application, our program with the database software, with the database, our all data is available in the database. Okay, if our Java program want to interact with if our Java program want to interact with database, then we need of JDBC API. JDBC API. So it is the mediator for Oracle database and the application. It is the mediator for database and our Java application. Through JDBC API only we can interact with the database and the get the data. Okay. Now let's see, to develop of any web application. Okay, to develop of any web application, let's say for example Gmail is there. Okay, Gmail. Now in that case, if you are adding of any other account, just assume, so we are entering username and password, then it is a UI which you are entering, the username and password, will call it as a view component. Okay, now once you are entering and click on submit, it will go to the database and then it will check whether that username and password is correct or not. Then only if both are valid, then only we are able to open home page. Correct or not? So now, so to develop of any web application, we need of minimum these things. Okay, one is JDBC for connecting with the database, servlets for interacting and for processing of logic, business logic, to verify the user. Okay, to communicate with the database and then verifying of users and processing of the data which we need to send back to the user. Okay, and JSPs are used to view the View will call it as a view component. We'll call it as a view components in like login page, home page. Those things for developing of those things, we will create of we will use of JSP. We'll use of JSP. What is mean by JSP means Java server pages. Java server pages. Now, so in Java, we can develop a web application using following technologies. So whenever presentation logic means view page. Okay, presentation logic means view page, either error page, login page, home page. Okay, whatever that pages that we are seeing in the browser or web, those we can develop by using a JSPs. Okay. Nowadays, all UI is developing using Angular. Okay. Nowadays, we are not using of JSPs, but you should have some knowledge on that. So nowadays, all front end is developing by using of Angular JS, React JS, Node. So by using those technologies, we are developing UIs. Okay. But you should have some idea. Some old projects are still using JSPs. So you should understand. You should be able to understand that JSP logic if you are getting of any old projects. Okay. Now go to whenever the presentation logic means you view guys, login page, home page. Okay, all those things. Presentation logic is required or display something to the end user. End user means, let's say Google is the product. Okay, just assume a project. So that we are using, right? We'll call it as a end user. Whoever going to use that applications, Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, whatever that, whoever is using that, we'll call it as a end users. We'll call it as a end users. Now, to display something to the end user, we need of some presentation logic is required. That in that case, we will write those code inside JSP component. Inside JSP. JSP means we'll call it as a view component. JSP is a view component. Now, next, whenever wherever the processing logic is required. Processing means like username and password is entered. Okay, someone has to capture that username and password that which we have entered, and we need to validate whether it is a correct username or password. Okay, and we need to interact with the database, and then we need to check whether it is correct or not. Okay, that logic, the processing logic or business logic is done by the servlet. Business logic is done by servlet. Okay. Next. So what is the use of uh, sorry, what is the use of servlet means it is a for processing logic, not presentation, guys. Processing logic that is required, then we should go for servlet concept. Okay, servlet means for processing logic or business logic. It is a Java code that will write internally. It will work it, not like we can't see that one. Let's say if you are entering here username and password, we don't know which servlet it is going to execute. Based on the UI logic in the JSP, whichever the action that we are performing internally, it will execute one servlet that will interact with the database. Okay, that is internally it will happen that. Okay, we can't see here like in the page. Okay, now just go back from any Java application, from any Java application, either normal Java program or servlet program, anything. If you want to interact with the database, then we should go for JDBC concept. Okay, like example of to get employee information database. To get employee information from database, we need of JDBC. Okay, now let's see what is JDBC. Java database connectivity. So what exactly JDBC is? Okay. Now JDBC is a Java database connectivity API. So API means again, okay, API means application programming interface. Okay, application programming interface. So now in our case, JDBC API is used for our to interact with the database. Our Java application is there. Let's say write off on program. Okay, write off one Java program, that program want to interact with some database. Then in that case, we need of JDBC API. We need of JDBC API. What exactly API contains means it contains set of classes and classes and inter interfaces classes and interfaces. So those will be used to interact with the database. Okay, by using this API we can interact with any database. We can interact with any database. Okay, so from one database to another database also easily we can modify, easily we can migrate with less code changes. With less code changes. Okay. Now we'll see some examples also, guys. No worries. These are some theoretical knowledge is required before going to practical knowledge. Okay. Now Java database connectivity API, which is used by the Java application. This JDBC API is used by Java application to interact with the database. Okay, let's say somewhere here or somewhere software is there, right? Or else. So I have open of SQL developer. Okay, SQL developer internally I am connecting with Oracle database. It is a Oracle database, right? It is separate. So I'm checking off all the tables, everything in see which is in the database. Now I want to read something from here. I want to something read some data from which is available in this database. Let's see 1 second. Let's load it. That's for example of wait. It is loading. Yeah. Now I have connected with my database. I connected with my Oracle database. It's connecting. Let's wait. Hmm. Yeah, it is connected. There are a lot of tables which is available in the database: account, address, employee information. There are many applicants. Okay, there are a lot of information that is available in the database. Right? Let's say, for example, any database employee code. Yeah, let's say for example of this is the data, right? This is of some data is there, not only this one, any data. Let's say here is there data, some 11 records is there. If I want to read of this information, if I want to read this information from the database, then compulsory we need of database, compulsory we need of JDBC API to interact with that database. Okay, now let's say I'll write one program to read this data. I'll write one program to read the data from the database, Oracle database. We'll see some examples. Okay. Now, next, so JDBC API makes JDBC API. JDBC API means the classes which are available in this JDBC API. API means JDBC API means it is a collection of or set of classes and interfaces. These classes and interfaces makes our Java code almost independent of database it uses. We can interact with any database by using these classes and interfaces. Okay, let's say if your application is using JDBC API to interact with the database, let's say I'm using of JDBC API, then you need not to change much in your code. Okay, let's say right now I'm using a Oracle database. Okay, by using JDBC API I'm interacting with Oracle database. Okay, then in that case in the later stages if I am moving from other database, Sybase database, DB to Ingress, okay, Postgres, if I am moving to some other database, then we no need to do much code changes. So then you no need to do code change much, we no need to change much in your code each time you change your database on your application. Right now Oracle is there, in the future I'm moving to some other database. You can switch easily from one database to another database. Okay, there may be at the time of project implementation, guys, at the time of project implementation, the you people may think like Oracle is sufficient. based on the data is increasing, sometimes performance issues will come in the application. Then in that case, yes, after completion of 50% of development, yeah, maybe you may realize that yes, this database is not suitable for our application. We may need to move to MongoDB. We may need to move to yeah, Postgres. So then in that case, with less code changes, we can move to some other database. Okay. So and JDBC API provides some sort of standardization. Okay, some standard code is there for getting of connecting with to establish a connection with the database. So it will not change, only the credentials of this will change. Credentials means username, password, okay? Username, password, URL, those properties will modify, okay? And there are some database to database, some data types are different. Okay, let's say in case of Oracle, we'll call it as a number. We'll call it as a MySQL, we'll call it as a integer, int. So like that, some data types will vary. Okay. Now, next, how to send queries to database, how to navigate the result written by the database, how to update the database. All those things are common. It is for any database. Okay. Now, let's go. Let's assume of it is our Java application. It is of our Java application. Internally, we are using of JDBC API. Internally, we are using of JDBC API to interact with the database. Okay, directly our application cannot interact with the database. Okay, JDBC API is not directly interact with the database. It uses some drivers. Okay, it contains some set of classes. It contains of some set of classes and interfaces to interact with any database. To interact with any database, these classes is useful. Okay, and only with JDBC API we can't interact. There are some drivers is also required. What are those drivers means? Okay, let's say we are interacting with the Oracle drive. We are interacting with Oracle database means there are some drivers that is required. Drivers. It contains of Oracle related classes and interfaces. Oracle related classes and interfaces. Now, let's say let's take it off that. Okay, what is for interacting with Oracle driver? Okay, let's go to Google only. Oracle driver. Oracle driver. So see, Oracle driver class name. So we need to use of this class. Okay, we need to use of this driver class to interact with Oracle database. Where this driver class is available. Where this driver class is available. So that is responsibility of the vendor. That is the responsibility of vendor. Who is the vendor? Oracle database vendor is Oracle. So they are responsible to give the jars which contains Oracle driver. Let's say if I want to interact with MySQL driver class, then MySQL people are responsible to give MySQL drivers, MySQL driver jar files. Okay, a jar file contains related classes of that database. Now let's will take off Oracle. We are using Oracle, right? Now let's create one project. How to create new project? See guys, go to file, go to new. Here, just to develop a normal class, normal Java application, guys, not a web application. JDBC application. Okay, I'm using of Java 8 and then finish it. And then finish it. Okay, now, so to interact with the database, we need of some drivers. Let me get that drivers. JDBC Java training, October batch of Core Java. Some where is the programs? Let me get down that. Let me get JDBC project. I need of somewhere that jar file is. required. We need of the jar files, guys. Lib, go to lib. Yes, we have OJDBC 8. OJDBC 8. It is a jar file, guys. It is a jar file. Internally, it contains of all the classes. It contains of. Let me close. I think it is of lot of other things are coming. Is of let me move to some folder of that. Extract to some folder. See, inside this, it contains of a lot of classes. All are which are required for JDBC to connect with our see all are classes. Okay, JDBC dot. Let's go to JDBC. See, all these are classes. Okay, even this is also classes. So these are all classes that will be used to interact with database. Okay, now let's how to do that. We'll see how to do that. Let me show you that also. Let before that we'll finish off this one. JDBC API. Okay, it contains of some class and interfaces. It cannot interact directly. So we need of if you are interacting with Oracle database, then we need Oracle vendors will provide of their classes and interfaces in one jar file. That jar file we need to add in our class path. Okay. Now, if you want to interact with MySQL, if you want to interact with Postgres, then they are provided some. They are provided some jar files. They are provided some jar files. Okay. It contains of their classes and interfaces to interact with their API. Okay, those classes we need to load in our application to interact with that with their database. Now I want to interact with Oracle. So that means Oracle people are provided one jar file. That is Oracle people are given some jar file. It is of OJDBC 8. OJDBC 8 is the jar file which is given by Oracle people to interact with their database. Okay, without this jar file, we can't interact with the JDB. So without with this jar file, we can't interact with Oracle. Okay, JDBC API will help. Okay, to interact with database, any database with their jar file. With compulsory without that jar file, we can't. Okay, now go to the document. JDBC API not directly interact with the database. It uses JDBC driver of that database of whichever the database that you want to interact. JDBC driver of that database to interact with the database. Let's say what are the JDBC drivers? Okay, what is JDBC drivers? JDBC driver is a software component. JDBC driver is a software component which is required by JDBC API. Okay, in our application we are using JDBC API. That internally it will interact with the driver. Okay, which is given by the driver class, which is given by vendor, Oracle vendor, MySQL vendor, whoever it is. They will give some jar files. Okay, that will call it as a driver. Okay, our API will interact with JDBC driver. That driver will interact with database internally. Okay, now JDBC driver is a software component which is required by the JDBC API to interact with the database. Each database will have their own JDBC driver. MySQL have their own driver. Oracle have their own driver. Sybase have their own driver. So whichever DB you want to connect, we need of their JDBC driver. This driver is supplied by the database vendor. Who is going to provide that driver? So that is the vendor responsibility. Vendor means whoever is going to provide that software, they are the vendors. Okay, it is the responsibility of the database vendors to supply their driver classes. Okay, now let's come down. JDBC drivers. Okay, so JDBC API is not communicating directly with the database. It is uses of JDBC driver of that database to interact with the DDBC. Fine. JDBC driver is a software component. It is also repeated. Nothing. Each database will have their own JDBC driver. This is also same. Now we have multiple types of JDBC drivers. We have multiple types of JDBC drivers. Now in olden days, in the initial days, they were using of JDBC one driver. Okay, it is of heavy weight. It is of heavy weight. In between, will get of some. In between, will get of some intermediate layers. Not only JDBC, will get of some JDBC, ODBC bridge server. Again, that will connect with other one. Again, that will connect with JDBC with the database. Like that, there are more intermediate, more interfaces is available to interact with the database. Okay, so later stages, they avoided all type 1, type 2, type 3 JDBC drivers. Only now we are using of type 4 driver only. Okay, it is a pure Java driver. It is a pure Java. Okay, now those things are not that much important, guys. That is the reason. Just remember that JDBC or type 1 driver will call it as a JDBC ODBC driver. Type 2 we are calling as a native driver. In this case, we are using of some C++ code is required to interact with the database. So that is also some headache is there. So later some network protocol driver. This is also like there are some interfaces there in between to interact with the databases. So all these are heavyweight operations. That too, lot of complexity is involved in all above drivers. Okay, now that is the most of the times now we are using of only type 4 driver. Okay, now first of all the JDBC itself we are not using nowadays, but you should have some idea. If you are using also, we are using of type 4 driver only 100%. Okay, not of above drivers. Okay, now JDBC API contains of JDBC API contains of some class and interface. I said right. Those classes are available in these two packages: Java.sql, JavaX.sql package. So in our program, let's say we are writing of any program. Okay, we are writing of any program means so all the classes available in some packages, right? Let's say our list is available in util package. In the same way, import java dot sql. Okay, import it contains lot of classes. Okay, those are related to Java database connectivity. This is one. And java x dot SQL, even it contains also some C Java X dot row set serial. So there are a lot of classes. This also contains. Okay, so these two packages will be Java.sql and Java X.sql. These two packages will be used to interact with the database from the Java API. Okay, from Java, we can use of these two packages part of Java software. Okay, the classes which are part of these two packages will be used to interact with the database. Okay, these two packages classes will load the vendor classes. Okay, let's say I'm using of Oracle vendor means these classes which is available in the SQL Java.sql classes will load the Oracle driver classes. If you are interact with MySQL, then it will load of MySQL driver classes into our application to interact with the database. Now let's will start with some examples also, guys. Let's so what are the most important class and interfaces of our Java.sql package? Java.sql package. Now, to interact with any database, we need of these things minimum. Okay, driver. These are interfaces, guys. Driver is one interface, connection is one interface, statement is one interface, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, database metadata, and result set metadata. These are interfaces, guys. So this is for loading the driver class. This is for getting the connection. This is for creating the statement. I want to execute of some statement. I want to create some table in the database. Then by using of these statements, we can create. So only the statement, prepared statement, callable statement. These three will be used to get the data, to create table in the database, to insert the data, all those things, these three will be used. Okay, let's say you are getting some data from database by using of one of the statement, either statement or prepared statement or callable statement. Okay, whichever the data that is written by the database, that will be stored inside result set object, that will be stored inside this result set object. So from this we will iterate the data. From this we will iterate the data. What are the columns? Data row by row, column by column, we will get the data from this object. Next, okay, result set metadata. So inside this object, result set object, how many columns is there, what are the columns, what are the type of columns, all those information if you want to know, then we can use of result set metadata. The metadata means it is of data about data, what type of data it is available in the result set object. If you want to know that, then we can use of result set metadata. Okay, now, let's say if you want to know of what is the database that we are using, what is the version of that data that we are using, and a major version, minor versions, all those information if you want to get, okay, then we can use of database metadata. If you want to know about our database details, what is the user that we are using, what is the tables, what is the whether MySQL or Oracle or Sybase, whatever, what is the database product that we are using, all those things we can get by using database metadata interface through that. Okay, now the classes, these are will driver manager class to load off the class, date, time, timestamp, types. These are the classes that will be used to get the data and for conversions. Okay, now we'll see the examples. Now there are some steps that are available. Okay, there are some steps is there. Okay, what are those steps? Okay, first we need to register the driver. So what exactly a register driver will do to interact with any database? First we need to register the driver class. So which driver class? Either Oracle driver class or MySQL or Sybase or Postgres or whatever the database driver that you are using, you are trying to connect. First we need to register the driver. First we need to register the driver or load the driver. We need to register the driver class in our application. Next, create the connection object. Once it is registered the driver class, then just get the connection with the database by passing of URL, username and password. By giving these three details, we can get one connection with the database. Then in the second step, connection is ready. Okay, by using that connection, by using that connection object, we can create one statement. You want to create up some table in the database, you want to insert some data in the database, you want to update some data in the database, or you want to delete some data in the database. Anything that we can do by using of create statement in the third step. Okay, that can be used by statement or callable statement or prepared statement. Anything that we can use it. Okay, out of these three things, out of once we are getting the connection, by using these three we can create a statement for either for creating table or updating table, deleting table, whatever you want, you can do by using of these three statements. Again we'll see what is the difference between these three. What is statement, prepare statement, column statement, which one we will use in which scenario, that we'll see also in the examples. Next, so once I created that one, then someone has to execute it. That is of execute queries. On top of the statement, we need to call off some methods. That is of execute or execute queries. Some methods we need to call to perform of that appropriate operations. Okay. Next, once our work is completed, once our work is completed, then we need to close the DB resources. It is the responsibility of Java developer to close the database connections. Let's say while creating of application, I am allowing of only 5 connections is for my database. Okay, let's say after five people are connected to the database. If sixth person is trying to connect the database, there is no, it will not allow to connect the, it will not allow that. Okay, the pool is allowing to create only five connections. If whoever is completed their work, they have to close the DB resources or connection. It is the responsibility of the developer, guys. Okay, at the end, that also we'll see. So in case of if you are going for Hibernate, guys, we no need to do all those things. Everything will be done by Hibernate itself. Okay, only our work is to get off only this statement, one statement. If you are going for JPA, even we no need to write a single line also. Even only the software itself, it will write its own queries. Okay, but internally it will use of some JDB. Hibernate internally we use JDBC, guys. So you should understood JDBC first. Okay. Now the first to register driver, just now whichever I have explained, right? It is for connecting with the database. First we need to register the driver. Okay. That how to register that one means by using of a class dot for name, or by using a driver manager dot register driver. By using these two approaches, we can connect, we can register the driver class, we can register the driver class. Now let's go for this. Below is a examples is there, let me go for that. The two examples shows how to register the driver class of Oracle database using both these methods. By using of we need of this driver class, guys, 100%. Without which, where it is available, it is available in, it is available in Oracle JDBC driver, Oracle driver. Let's go here, go to Oracle JDBC. Again, what is the package? Driver. What is the package? There might be somewhere driver. Yes, driver. Inside this, we have Oracle driver class. We have Oracle driver class somewhere. Let's go and check somewhere that Oracle driver class must be available. See, so there is a class Oracle driver class. So we need of this class to interact with the Oracle database. Okay. 1 second, guys. Yeah. So Oracle driver is the driver class of Oracle database. Remember to update the class part with the JDBC driver of Oracle compulsory. We need to add this Oracle JDBC driver jar in the our class path. Otherwise, we'll get off some exception. Class not found exception. We'll see that whether we'll get exception or not also. Okay. First approach is class dot for name. Class dot for name of we need to use this driver class. This is one way of registering the driver. Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. This is of loading the Oracle driver, guys. Loading of Oracle driver. Okay. If this class is not available in the class path, means compulsory we need to add of this jar file, guys. We need to add this jar file in the project. How to add? I will tell you. How to add also? I will tell you. No worries. Yeah, compulsory we need to write this logic inside try and catch only, guys. Because if we are not, if we are not not able to identify this class in the class path, then it will throw off this exception. This is a checked exception. Compulsory we need to handle that by using try and catch only, guys. Okay, this is of one way. Other way is registering of driver is driver manager dot register driver. Even first create of object of the driver class, and then we need to add of driver manager dot register driver of this object. What we are doing? We are creating object for Oracle driver class. Oracle driver class. That object I am adding inside register driver. Okay. This is of another approach. But mostly we'll use of this approach only, guys. Mostly all will use of class dot for name approach only. Okay. Now next part is getting connection. Getting second step is creating a connection object. How to create a connection object? We need of three parts. For getting of connection, we need three variables. Okay, there are some overload methods is available. Mostly we'll use of this first one. Mostly we'll use of the first one, but there are other approaches is also there. Other overloaded methods. Okay, we create java.sql.connection object using get connection method of driver manager class. Okay, so that get connection method has three overloaded forms. One is taking of URL, username, password of database. Okay, where exactly it is installed, that Oracle, and what is the username, what is the password. Okay, that I'll show you how to construct that URL also. Otherwise, other two is also there. Only URL inside that contains of all the things. With URL, username, password, everything is contains as part of URL. And URL and properties. From the properties, we can get username and password. Leave it about these two other methods, guys. Concentrate on only this one. This is the only one will be used mostly. Okay. Now, how exactly the URL is look like? How exactly the URL of any database looks like? Okay, the URL of database to database will vary, guys. It is not like same for all databases. It will modify that. So now I have given us some examples for I have given some examples of URLs that we need to pass in case of first parameter. Okay, for first parameter URL, username, password is there. For calling of get connection method, we need to pass it. Okay, to pass of this one URL, you should know that what is the URL that you need to pass. For Oracle database, you need to pass the URL like this: JDBC colon Oracle colon thin at at host name where exactly it is available, the software where exactly it is available, and port number colon database name. This is the URL for Oracle database. If you are using of MySQL, then it is of second one is the URL. Okay, it is need to modify that, guys. What are all things that we need to modify, I'll tell you. Okay, for Sybase, this is the one. For DB2, this is the one. Okay, so now we are using of Oracle database, right? Now in this URL, in this URL, what are all the changes that we need to modify? Okay, let me tell you that. What are all the changes that we need to modify? I'll tell you that. Let's go for this is of Oracle, right? JDBC colon Oracle colon up to thin, it is fixed, guys. Up to thin, it is fixed. Later on the host name place, on the host name place, you need to give off. If it is installed in our local system, you need to give as local host. That you can identify. That you can identify from here also, guys. Go here, right click, go to properties. Here, this is of host name. It is of local host. Okay, that we need to give as here local host. Next is port number. Okay, port is here 1521. Default port of Oracle is 1521. That is the default port. Okay, that we need to give. Oracle, it is a database name. It is a database name or service name that we are giving here. This we need to give here last. In place of database name, add it. Now totally JDBC colon Oracle colon thin colon at localhost port number 1521, database name is ORCL. This is the URL construction for Oracle. It is the entire thing is there. In between, you need to replace this host name with our local host, port number with 1521, database name with ORCL. Okay, this is of the URL for our Oracle database URL. Now, username and password. Username is my system user, my password is username is system, password is my password. Okay, whatever that I have entered at the time of creating, at the time of installing Oracle database. Okay, now after that we need to use of this one driver manager dot get connection of URL we need to pass, and username we need to pass, and password we need to pass. Okay, it will check if all the username URL password is correct, then it will create one connection with the database, and then it will return that connection object. It will return of connection object, that it will return that. Okay, this is of the first one. The second way is the URL is it will be like this: JDBC colon URL colon system. It is of username slash password and host and port and database. In between, we are using of username and password also, guys, in the URL itself. In the URL itself, we are giving of username and password both. Okay, where we are giving after thin, before localhost, before host name we are giving username and password. If you are going for the second approach of second get connection method. Okay, in the third case, we need to give off URL is same which is the first one. The properties that we need to add username and password, that we need to use system and oracle. By using this object you need to pass it. So the get connection method will get that username and password from this properties file. Okay, that is where for getting the connection second part. Okay, so here you need to remember of that how to construct the URL and which method we need to call. You can use of this one, you can try that. Now third point, third one is third step is of creating statement. Creating statement. What exactly the statement will do? What exactly the statement will do? So statement what it will do means like it will create one statement or query. It will create some query which you want to execute with the database. The statement like let's say here you are using of let's say select star from employee underscore SQL EMPLO employee underscore HQL on table is there, right? So this is of query. This is of query which if I am executing this query, it is returning this result, right? This query construction I will do. This query construction I will do in create statement step. In the third step of create statement. Okay, so to create statement object, we can use create statement method of get connection object. From already in the above step, we got a connection. By using this object, we can call off this method. It will return statement object. Okay, this is of example. Con dot create statement. It will return of statement. Now this will execute that queries. Let's say example is select star from table name. This is of SQL, right? Statement dot. It is of creating one statement. Statement dot execute query of this SQL whichever you want to execute, that we need to pass as a parameter. Then it will return. It will execute that query and it will return the data in the form of result set. Okay, this result set we need to iterate it. Okay, in case of iterator method, it has next. Okay, if the data is available it will return it. Inside that we need to call off next method. In the same way here, if the data is available in the result set object, this will return true. Okay, next we need to iterate that columns. That will see, this is of syntax, guys, no worry, I'll explain that with example. At the end, we need to close off DB resources. We need to close the connection which we are getting by using of URL, username and password. That we need to close by using rs dot, sorry, close off result set, close off connection state, and last is connection also we need to close. Con dot close. This is very important. Rest of things no issue. This is the last one. It is compulsory. We need to close off this connection part. Okay, that's what the steps. Now we'll go for a example, guys. Now we'll go for some practical example. Now let's see the practical example. Or okay, so it is of some difference is there. Difference between. So instead of before going to this, we'll take one example, guys. We'll take one example. Is it ready? Still it is. Time is there. Let me take one example. Okay. Let me take off one example. JDBC application, right? Now write it one class. Okay, JDBC test. So normally we can segregate the code, guys, no worry. For time being I'm writing a simple one. Okay, class dot for name, class dot for name of we need to use of what is that driver class that we need to use? We need to use of driver class is of this one. Oracle call Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver is the class that we need to load it. Okay, that is the first step. Now it is giving error. What we need to do? We need to add this statement in the try and catch because it will throw off a class not found exception if it is not available. Okay. Now after this, next what we need to do? We need to load off. We need to get the connection. We need to get a connection. Once it is loaded successfully, then we can create of one driver manager dot driver manager dot to get connection. See, we have three methods is there. Let me pass off this one. URL. Let me go to here. Let me get that URL. Take off this URL which I have constructed. Okay, pass this one and next system. Next password is or CL is my password. Or CL is my password. It is of SQL exception. It is throwing right of this code inside try catch. Okay. Now what it will give? It is going to give off. It is going to give off connection object. Control Alt L. Control Alt L. It will give off con. It is going to giving off connection object. See. Now from this object. From this object. Now write off con dot create statement, call that method. It will return off statement object. It will return off statement object. It is returned, right or not? Now after this, if you want to execute of some, let's say system dot stmt dot dot execute query execute exe execute query of some string. Execute query of from some string, any string, guys, any table you can take it. Okay, let's take it of 3. Okay, write this and add it here. Okay, add it here. Now after this, now after this, what we need to do? So once it is executing, it is going to return off. It is going to return off some data, guys. It is going to return off some data that we need to store inside inside result set object. Result set. How to do that? Just add it. Is going to return a result set object. So result set object, what we need to do? We need to get this data. We need to iterate it from the result set. Okay. Now let's iterate it. Rs dot while rs dot next. Rs dot or else simply non iterate. Just write write of rs dot next. Okay. Inside that, what I'll write off get of rs dot rs dot get int get int, or else we can use of column name. Get int means it is a column name. First one, okay, first column. Now system dot out dot println. Okay, first one is int. Now next one get int of 1. Next one system dot out dot println of not out that println enough rs dot get string, get string of second column value I want. Okay. Next, system dot out dot println of rs dot get salary, get integer only, let's see, of 3. Okay, what is the type it is? Let me go and check it. It is of type salary of float type. So now get float, get float of third column. Okay, now let's see whether it will print the data or not. What happened? It is giving off some error, class not found exception, because this driver class is not able to identify it where it is available. Okay, for that what we need to do, go here, right click on that, go to, where is that, properties, go to properties, go to Java build path. Now add library. So click on third tab, go to external jars. Click on that, go to D drive, libs, select this and click on OK. Now it is jar file is added. Okay. Now run it. After adding that jar file, run it. Now let's see it is executing. Are we getting the data or not? Now let's say for example, print what is that ID, right? EID employee ID. Okay. Now name, right? Is of name. Just I'm writing, segregating the data. Salary. Now let's see. Oh, all are coming in the same line. Let's write off at the end system.out.println one ln method. Yeah. Every iteration it is going for the new line. Yeah. See now it is going for employee ID is 1, name is Ashok, salary is 100. Like that is iterating of data which is in the database. Correct or not? So I have not whatever the data that is available here. Here, see, 1 Ashok 100, 2 Jaya 200, 1 Ashok 100, 2 Jaya 200. Right or not? Yeah. Yeah, see that? So, name, ID, name, salary. 3 is getting from the database which is there here. Last one is 11. Now, let's go and check the 11th one. 11, Vijay, salary is 40,000. This is a simple connection for getting the database, guys. Okay, we can do other things also in the tomorrow's class. Okay, so whatever that I have explained today, please practice and then please read it at least. At least read and then come for tomorrow's class. Okay, guys. Tomorrow we'll discuss the prepared statement, callable statement, and the rest of the topics. We'll continue that. If any doubt is there, I'll clarify that also in tomorrow's class. Okay, guys. Fine. But I'm telling guys, from now onwards, it's very important. Each and everything is very important. Let's say if you are missing of 1 or 2 classes, then it is very difficult to follow up of that. Okay. Yeah. Please. Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll meet.